Hi there, welcome back to Drawing Basics. Today, in part 3, we're going to do some more shading because I'm sure this backwards and forwards. And also, I've recorded these bits of stuff and I want to get them out there. This time I really want to go with something a little bit more conventionally artisty. So even though it's going to be shading and it's going to be dry media, I want to do that is recognised as an artist in inverted commas thing. So I've got a few different bits here that I could choose, but I'm going to start off with a 2B pencil. Now this is a fairly soft pencil and you'll see the difference between that and the HB as soon as we start shading this bad boy. So here's our circle and let's get going. I'm having a bit of a think here about which way to shade it. So what I'm going to start with is start as if I was doing cross-hatching, but it's not actually cross-hatching. I'm going with something that's more like, well, when you're colouring in, you tend to use the tip of the pencil. So I'm going to go with that sort of thing because, you know, we've all... Oh, big lorry just drove past. That's nice. Because we all know how to colour in. I'm not promising that I'll stay in the lines, but this is where we're going with this. So as you can see, it's a much darker pencil than the HB was, which was my first video. So, you know, if you haven't seen that one, you know what to do. And it's because it's much softer. So basically the letters and numbers on a pencil are about how soft it is. So this one has more graphite in it, which is the stuff they use in pencils, whereas the harder pencils have more of the binding agent, which is normally clay, but not always. Sometimes it's this weird plasticky stuff. The cheaper the pencil, the less the lower the quality of the binding agent, and the generally the harder they are as well. Although some people do use very hard pencils for things like doing architectural drawing and making plans and things like that. So they quite often, because they need a very, very sharp line. And of course, the harder the pencil is, the sharper the tip you can make, the thinner the line, etc. And you'll see this one actually makes quite a thick line, so you can fill in things quite dark quite quickly. Obviously you can use it the same way you would any other thing, so you could use the cross hatching, but I was trying not to do that this time again because I thought you guys have had 2 videos starting with cross hatching, and well, I thought I'd give you a break, frankly. Just brushing off a few invisible crumbs there. You see I keep tempted to be using the side of the lead to make a wider line. I'm trying to stop myself from doing that. After all, if I'm teaching you one thing, I can't start doing something else halfway through. And as I was saying, the letters and numbers are to do with the hardness of the pencil. So if you've got HB, that's sort of considered to be a writing pencil, so it's a medium hardness. Anything that ends in a B is a soft pencil. Anything that ends in an H is a hard pencil. I don't know if the H stands for hard, and I can't remember what the B stands for, but it's one of those things you sort of accept. It's like, well, I don't know what it's like. It's like pencils. What can I say? So like with any shading, the idea is you build it up in layers so you don't over things that are, you know, have really, really black shadows that then turn into really, really light highlights look a bit weird. You have to grade it right, so this is what I'm trying to work on here. At the moment it just looks like, it kind of looks like a guy with a really big beard. It's not going to look like that by the end, but at the moment, definitely a beard guy. This one's going to be a generally darker ball compared to the others. The 2B pencil, being a softer pencil, makes it a lot easier to do that. If I were doing cross-hatching, I probably would leave more white spaces at the top, but I can actually make this one entirely grey and still get the lighting right, still get it, so you've got your shadows and you've got your highlights. And as I say, this, what, no, as I say, did I say that? Probably not. The advantage with this one is obviously it's soft, but it's not too soft, so you don't have to have, you know, a really, really light touch. With some of the darker pencils, like 6Bs and sort of like 4B, actually 4Bs and above, you have to be really careful not to put too much pencil on there straight away, because it can be a bit messy when you try and erase it. I mean, I would always advise using a fairly light touch to start with anyway. Just, you know, you don't have to press hard to get the colour down with one of these soft ones. And this is the sort of thing you'd probably more likely see in drawing classes and stuff like that, where you've got something you've got to draw from life, and then you just, I don't know. As I say, I find it a lot easier to draw with shades rather than to draw lines and then fill in all the bits and bobs, because I find it, you know, what you can do is you can squint your eyes and not worry about the representation of what you're doing. You can just see the darks line, put those down, and you'll end up with something that's really cool, that's not, you know, like cartoony or simplistic, because, you know, the whole world is made up of three-dimensional objects and lights and darks and contrasts and what have you, and that's how we see the world, how our eyes see the world. You know, if you look out of a window, a leaf doesn't have a black line around it. You know, your cat may be a black cat, but he doesn't have an outline in the same way that, I don't know, Mickey Mouse would or something. Not that I'm against cartoon stuff. I love cartoons. I love comic books and what have you. It's a different type of drawing. It's a very specialised subject, and I admire anyone who can do comics, because you know, I tried when I was younger to draw in that way, and I just couldn't, you know, get anything as realistic as I ever wanted. And I do occasionally still try, but it's definitely, you have to be, yeah, you definitely have to have the right sort of brain, and I'm not sure I have the right sort of brain. You can see here I'm making a bit of a muck-up of doing the shadow underneath the ball. I'm going to try and fix it as I go along, but we'll see how it is at the end. Let's speed this one up a bit. Another bonus, of course, of the soft pencil is that you can actually smudge it and get like a nice smooth effect, and, you know, so that it looks a bit more blurry and more naturalistic. Or at least that's what I'm trying to go for here. Just a little bit of light erasing here just to tidy up the edges of this one, and that was pretty cool. I think I'm still not 100% happy with the shadow, but life is short. On to the next one now. Just a sip of my cup of tea. It's very important to stay hydrated. And a little munch of my Viscount biscuit. Gotta love that minty chocolatey goodness. This isn't an advert, it's just I really like Viscount biscuits, and you've got to stay fueled when you're doing that. So carrying on with the 2B pencil and starting with a circle as ever. As I say, there's probably one more video of shading, and then we'll go on to something else. If there's anything particular you fancy, please don't forget how to use English. No, that's just me. Please feel free to add a comment on the bottom of this video. In hindsight, this next technique was probably not the best idea in the world. What I'm trying to do here is basically do a pop arty type shading, where I'm using areas of shading or colour to try and give the impression of roundness without actually, but still keeping it quite a flat colour. I have no idea what I was thinking with this. This works much better if you're using coloured pens or that sort of thing. But it's another technique. Felt tips are particularly good with this one. And just remember, when you're doing what you'll find is that in general, not always, but in general, red tones, so everything from sort of yellow, orange, red, the redder purples, that sort of thing, will come to the forward in your picture, come to the front in your picture, and anything like blue tones will go to the back. So if you're doing, if you want to add 3D, generally use bluer tones of things, so bluey greens and the bluey purples, and they should take it back. Also, if you fade out with blue colours, so if you're if you've got a purple that's nice and red and you want to make it look as if a three-dimensional object is more three-dimensional, if you want, painting or drawing or colouring in a three-dimensional object, what you do is you use, actually this particularly works with painting, I should say, is you get not just add blue to it, because that just makes it darker and darker. Blue and white make it a more lilac-y tone. Lilac? No, make a more lavender tone, which will then make it recede into the background of your painting or your drawing. As you can see here, this is just a thing. It's just a thing. Oh yeah, here I go. Give a bit of advice here in my terrible block lettering. I'm used to doing joined up writing, to be honest with you, but my joined up writing is illegible, so it's perhaps this is better, if not so aesthetically pleasing. I mean, that was just a quick one, but I hope you get the idea of what I was trying to go for there. That's the time to end this video, and I hope you all stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time.